he is 100% worth it.
He takes it to another level. Oh my God, I just fell in love with it.
Thanks so much, Jay.
Blew my mind. And it worked. I wanted to buy my thing.
Jay is, I would say, the Yoda of sales calls, man.
Just talking to Jay, he was so good at just taking what it is, seeing the opportunity and the value and the real reason we are making it.
Talk to Jay because he got it. He can definitely help you out.
Talk to Jay. You're going to get a lot. You're going to gain a lot.
I would absolutely recommend him for any position that you have.
Jay's definitely the guy.
Give him the chance, give him the opportunity. You won't regret it.
He's good at what he does, so I highly recommend him, and I would book him before he is fully booked out.
Welcome to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. We cut through the noise, ditch outdated sales tactics, and show you how to close deals with confidence, strategy, and integrity. Hi, my name is Jay Lee, and I'm the founder of Sales Ninja. As a former banker, a former introvert, a former pastor, and former high-ticket seven-figure sales ninja, I now help grow and scale businesses like yours without the need for pushy tactics. And that's the heart of the reverse glass selling method. A kingdom-driven approach from the Bible in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, which is built on trust, service, and real connection. My mission is to help over 1 million people break the cycle of generational poverty so that you can sell more to give more. Today's guest has spent over 4 decades mastering sales, leadership, and entrepreneurship in the tech and telecom industries. He is the co-founder of Gap Wireless, where he helped lead 2 successful company exits, most recently serving as EVP and GM of NWS, before stepping into his next venture, an AI company helping businesses embed AI for real results in under 5 weeks. He's also the author of Never Sit in the Lobby, a powerful book on sales success. Also a LinkedIn top voice and a sought-after speaker known for his sharp insight, humor, and leadership legacy. So get ready for an incredible conversation on sales, scaling, and legacy with Glenn Poulos. Welcome, Glenn, to the Sales Ninja Show podcast. How are you today?
I'm well, Jay. Thanks so much for having me.
Good to have you. And I know that we are in for a treat with over 4 decades mastering sales, leadership, and entrepreneurship, and an 8-figure exit on 2 companies. So this is going to be quite a show. So speaking of which, you've been in sales for over 40 years. Let's jump right in. Sure. What's a lesson that you wish every person or new salesperson knew that they could learn in their first year that took you maybe decades to master?
Well, I'm not sure it took me decades, but one of them would be Never Sit in the Lobby. Title of my book, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yes, there you go. Ka-ching.
Yeah. Sorry for that shameless plug. So
not at all.
But
nothing shame. No.
I'm always reaching into the little basket and the subtitle of the book, is 57 tips, right? And so I'm always just reaching in and grabbing whatever's the most appropriate, sort of anecdote or tip or, based on the question. Right. And so, that's one of them. But, what comes up a lot nowadays is a lot of people, they want to challenge me about, well, your book seems like for people that make sales calls. Right. And I'm like, yeah, I like to work with the people who are making all the money. Right. Yes. And, because, yes, you can do things virtually, and maybe some things can be done almost all virtually, right? In some respects, like software sales and SaaS maybe and stuff. But I can assure you on the big deals, when the real numbers are in play, the guy who won the deal showed up and he was there, and he presented himself at the lobby at some point. And so I'm always trying to get people to don't fall into that trap of wanting to do it all from your cockpit. You got 3 monitors and you're, and this and that, and you're, super comfortable. And your ergonomic chair, and that's great for when you're in the office. But the real magic for a sales guy and gal happens in front of the customer. And so I'm giving tips and techniques on how to get, act, and stay in front of your customers, and to be a pleasure to do business with always. That's my mantra.
Okay, let's expand on that. So you have a book that is called Never Sit in the Lobby. You said don't get too comfortable in your chair or in your office with 3 monitors. Real magic happens when you get in front of your customer. So for people who are in the remote, high ticket sales space, they are literally behind their monitors, 3 monitors, in fact, and they're pretty comfortable. So what do you mean by the real magic happens when you get in front of your customer? Can you expand on that?
Well, yeah. And so I understand that some products are just sort of fully sold virtually, but the question is, how do they get behind the monitor then? Because they have to figure out, so they're at a disadvantage in a way. And so, and maybe they can be comfortable, maybe they can call from Costa Rica, or they can be in Greece or wherever, making these remote, doing this remote selling, and that's fine and what have you. But, what are they selling? And then let's say they were selling jets, right? Are they going to take the guy on a virtual test flight?
No.
For a $50 million plane?
No.
Because that's a high ticket sales item, right?
Yes.
$50 million, that's high ticket to me, right? And so there's no way the guy who's buying a $50 million jet is doing it over Zoom, right?
Yes.
And so I'm saying, take that concept and and dwindle it down to 50 million, 5 million, 500K, et cetera, right? And the reason why is because when you get behind the lobby door, when you get behind the monitor with the customer, you can see who the competitors are. And so if your job is 100% remote, you need to figure out ways of looking down to his desk and seeing the mouse pad and which competitor gave it to him. And can you see the logo on his t-shirt? And did your number one competitor give him a nice, button down sports shirt, or, his water bottle, his Stanley mug? What's the logo on the Stanley mug? These are things that are hard to see. Right. And you can't really say to the guy, hey, take your camera and scan it around so I can inspect your office. But you need to figure out ways of doing that and to get behind the lobby. Right. And to because the people that are winning the big deals, they're doing it some way. Right. They're figuring out who the competition is. They're figuring out. And of course, so, but in a lot of cases, when I'm talking to people, it's not a 100% remote situation. Right. And so, so I'm sort of appealing to the masses in terms of my messaging. But if you are 100% remote, I've just shared with you my thoughts on some of the most important things, because these simple things about what shirt is he wearing and what mouse pad is he using is reflective of whether or not you're going to get the deal. Right. And how much effort do you want to put into it? You realize that, hey, he only called you because for instance, maybe you're remote, and so he knows you're not going to come and bug him. And 2, he's trying to keep his other guy honest. He's already got 9 of whatever the competitor sells. He wants to get a 10th one. He wants a better price. So he's bringing you in to threaten him, to threaten the incumbent to get better pricing, right? He's not going to tell you that, but you need to flush that out. And then you need to start practicing some of my other rules, like, lose quickly, right? And I'd rather be last than second. And these are some of my golden rules in selling, because your time is the only thing as a salesperson, that you've got, and you can't be in 2 places at one time. And so if you're wasting time on a deal that's going to go to someone else because you didn't get behind the monitor or the lobby or the whatever to see what deals in play, you could actually be running to a new customer where you have a better than even chance of getting the deal. The other competitors, fight in the melee over, while a guy really is going to go out and buy a 10th copy of the same thing that he's bought anyways.
So when you talk about never sit in the lobby, 57 tips, is this like getting in front of people, like physically, and getting behind the gatekeeper? Can you expand a little bit more on some of those tips?
So never sit in the lobby is specifically exactly what it means. It's like when you get to the lobby, do not sit down, right? And so these are so you can flip anywhere in the book. The tips are quick and painless, and and they have a funny story with most of them. But the whole idea is that because the reason why is because I'm only like 5'6", right? And so if I'm sitting in the lobby, I'm on my phone, the wife's telling me to get milk and bread on the way home, and don't forget to do this, and oh, by the way, you didn't cut the grass, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, honey, I'll do it when I get home. And the customer walked in, he's 6'6", right? He's now 4 feet above me because I'm sitting down, distracted by my wife, flustered. And so that I never do that. It's a bad look, and I never do bad look. I just find it's just don't be a pain in the ass when you're a salesperson, and don't do anything that's a bad look. And so I'm always standing, I'm always at attention. My phone is put away. I'm not looking. And the next rule, simply always have something in your hand, something in your mind, right? Something to give them, something to tell them, right? The next rule, always ask for a mini tour after you've given it to them, right? That's how you get behind the door. That's the next thing. So the never sit in the lobby is just that. Don't sit, right? Then give them something, ask them something, and then see if you can get a tour of wherever your product would be used. Could be in the lab, it could be in the production environment, it could be in the warehouse, it could be in the parking lot. It depends on what you're selling, right? And so say, hey, I just want a quick look at where it's going to be situated, because when you get there and on your way there, you're learning, an incredible amount of things, including all the other products you could be selling them that you didn't realize. And also you're practicing the next rule, never forget a face, because you got there 15 minutes early. You didn't want to sit in the lobby, so you sat in your car. And while you're in your car, you're going through your phone and you're looking up every contact of that customer you've ever met, right? Because a lot of guys have territories, that run big territories. They're calling on, Fortune 500 companies. They don't go once and that's it.
Yeah.
Right. So every time you go, you meet someone, you need to remember, who they are and what they look like. Because when you're on the mini tour with the new guy, you're going to bump into Sally, and you don't want to forget her face. Right. And she walks by and says, oh, Glenn, I haven't seen you in a while. And she can tell by the split-second delay that you forgot her name. Because you have to pull it from the back of your mind to the front, and that takes several microseconds. She's already upset that you forgot her name. You can never recover from that. It's a bad look, and you're a pain in the ass as a salesperson, breaking all my cardinal rules.
Yeah, well said.
You want to say, "Hey, Sally," 20 feet down the hall. You want to be shouting out her name. Yeah, and she's walking to you, going, "Who the hell is that? Who is that? Who is that?" And hopefully, by the time he gets there, she remembers you sold her something, 3 years ago or 2 years ago or whatever. She's like, oh, that Glenn guy, he's such a pleasure to do business with. He always remembers my name.
Yeah.
Right.
So
these things are invaluable tips to building a lifetime of career in selling. Now, and if you're just one and done, some of them don't work. Right. But I mean, a lot of the people that I talk to on a daily basis are dealing with customers that have millions of dollars to spend year in and year out. And you're chasing these numbers every year at Fortune 500 companies. So you're going to go back and, and you want to be remembered in a positive light.
So tell us about a story of where you says, give them something and be able to say something and hold something to give. What was like maybe a larger ticket item or sale that you made where you made that impression, where you weren't sitting in the lobby, and a story of how you were able to give them something? So a lot of times people are stuck about, well, how do I, why am I going to the lobby and what am I going to do when I get there? Right. And I mean, and so that's where I came up with the idea of something in your hand and something in your mind. And it all plays in to this ecosystem of your whole career in sales, where you always want to be, know where your next sales call is coming from. You don't want to be fighting to get calls and appointments and things like that. So it all one thing feeds on another in this circular manner. And so the something in your hand, something in your mind is, for instance, the guy maybe says, maybe he clicks off something on your website or whatever, and it's like he's interested in, your widget, right? Your it could be a flux capacitor, or whatever, right? And so the guy says he wants interested in it, and so you then a lot of companies just email him the data sheet and never follow up, right? But I would call him and I'd say, oh, you clicked off, you're interested in our flux capacitors, and I've been to your company a few times. I'm actually going to be there next Thursday. I'd love to drop off the literature. He's like, well, I'm kind of busy. Can you just send it to me? I said, well, I'm going to be there anyways. Why don't I just drop it in the lobby? Right? He's like, okay, fine. I'm really busy. Right? I'm like, okay, no problem. Right? And so the
so then, you know, that next Thursday or whatever, I know that I'm going to be in that guy's lobby. So I then call everyone else in that business and around that business that I've ever met in my entire life. Right. And I try to get as many other reasons to be in that area, including him, because I know I'm going to be there. Right. And the momentum builds on itself. Right. I'm going to be in the lobby. I'm dropping off the flux capacitor literature to Bob. You know, can I get 5 minutes from you, Sally? Yeah. Okay. No problem, Glenn. I remember you from 2 years ago, blah, 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 whatever. Right. So I show up. The something in my hand is the literature. Now I get to the lobby. Remember, he was busy a week ago, right? The receptionist says, "Is he expecting you?" Like, it gives you that like receptionist vibe, right? Like, is he expecting you? You know, right? I'm like, yeah, he is. He asked me to drop off this literature. Okay, Bob, Glenn's in the lobby. Guess who forgot that he was busy? Bob. 99% of the time. He comes down. I have something in my hand. It's the literature, and something in my mind. It's the flux capacitor. Are you looking for high, you know, the high volume, you know, 100 megawatt flux capacitor, or do you need like the 10 megawatt, you know, are you in a high volume capacity, low power? Right. I'm making up flux capacitors from Back to the Future.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
It's not a real thing, right? I'm just making it up to relate, so people can try to relate, right?
I love it.
And then and he's like, so I had something in my hand, and what was in my mind was getting him engaged in the flux capacitor. Right. And then I flip it open. And I say, hey, well, what do you know, have you ever seen this one before? Right. This 100 megawatt, or this 10 megawatt, whatever it is. Right. And so I've asked him something in my mind. I've given him something in my hand. If I've already met and sold to him or whatever, maybe the next time I'm dropping him in the lobby, I'm giving him a Stanley mug with my logo on it. Right. That I hope that the competitor never sees. Right. And so I've always have something to give him, though. Always have something to give him. That's why I have pens, you know, mouse pads, baseball caps, T-shirts, water mug, you know, everything, right? Water bottles, whatever, right? And then of course, so something in your hand, something in your mind. I've asked them the question. Now I say, hey, you know what? Flux capacitors, I know that's going to be going in your high volume area. Anyway, I get a little mini tour of where you're installing the flux capacitors. And he's like, oh, well, we're kind of busy and this and that. I said, look, don't worry. Only take a minute, and I just want to have a quick look, see how it'll be positioned or whatever. And I says, I promise I won't sell any insurance while I'm in the building, right? And you know, or something like that, because he's kind of like weird, like you're going to sell to him or whatever. So now you've gotten behind the lobby door. You've asked for the mini tour, right? Why is it a mini tour? It's a mini tour because a tour takes all day. Right? It's a mini tour. Right. And these things matter. These little points that I've learned over the years. When you say, "Oh, can I have a tour?" It's like, "Tour? What? You know, like, you out of your mind? And bring in a bus? And so I've learned that these little semantics go a long way in you know, in getting your way, right? And of course, remember, you were 15 minutes early. You never forget a face in the car, right? Went through all the things. Guess who walks down the hall on the way to the lab where the flux capacitors get installed? Bob, Sally, George, Paul, Ringo. You know what I mean? Like the whole Beatles, they all walk by you, and you shouted out their names on the way by. Paul, George, Ringo. Nice to see you. And they're like, "Who the hell was that?" Oh, that's Glenn. The guy that keeps selling me flux capacitors. Right? And so now on the way there, you realize that either A, they've got IBM capacitors all the way down the building. And you got a huge problem. Or B, they also buy, you know, discombobulators or whatever, right? And and you didn't even know that. And now you know, hey, well, and so you do your thing, you go and you see where it is, you want to get out of his hair quickly, you say, like, I saw those discombobulators and whatever. Who's in charge of that? Oh, that's Jack and such. Oh, is there any way you could just quickly walk me by, and so I can drop my card and say hello and put a face to the name? Oh, okay, no problem. I can do that, you know. And hopefully Bob will leave you with Jack for 5 minutes, and Jack will walk you out, right? And all the while, what I've probably ended up is having a follow-up meeting that I've set with the first guy to follow up on the thing, because I'm going to be back in the building in a week because of this, that, or the other thing. And now I've got another reason to be there. And so now potentially my whole day is pre-booked a week or 2 weeks from now. And imagine my territory is the Northeast United States, and every 6 weeks I'm in Maine. I don't want to have to spend a month booking meetings in Maine. When I go to Maine, I want it all done 90%.
Right.
So when I leave Maine, 90% of what I do when I'm going back to Maine or Boston or wherever, it doesn't matter, is already pre-booked. their follow-ups, their schedules, their demos, their this, their that, right? Another rule, never fax the facts, never ship the shit, right? So these are golden rules, right? Fax the facts. Fax doesn't exist anymore, Glenn. I know, but I invented it in 1985 when people went from, we were mailing quotes in triplicate on NCR paper, right? With the 3 forms, you know, the 3 color papers, and we had a secretary and she typed out the quotes and then we mailed them and it took a week.
Yeah.
A day later, we got a fax machine and my life went to hell, right? It's like, well, just fax it to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, before I had a week to get the quote done. Now he wants it in 5 minutes, right? Email's even worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no, you want a quote? I'm going to drop it off.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, why don't you just email it to me? I said, well, I could, but I'm going to be there tomorrow. Why don't I just drop it in the lobby? He's like, oh, I'm really busy. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll just drop it in the lobby. And you get there and she says, is he expecting you? I'll go, yeah, he wanted a quote.
Right.
You see how it all feeds on, it all plays together. And then he says, can I have a demo of the flux capacitor?
Yeah.
And if I see 9 units from IBM, guess what I tell him? I said, sure, no problem. Ours are booked up till next February. And I immediately I lose early, right? Because I want to be the first loser, not the last loser, right? Because second place is the number 1 loser, right?
Right.
So my golden rule is always, you know, lose quickly, right?
Yeah.
And so and now, but if I know I have a better than even chance, then obviously I'm going to put everything I have in it, and I'm not going to ship them the demo, right?
Yeah.
You know, ship the SHIT, right? Like,
yeah.
We will. We have company policy. We have to hand deliver it and set it up. Sorry, it's the policy. We don't just ship demos in because it could be this or that or whatever. And I want to see the people that are going to play with it, and I want to pull it out of the box, because I learned in 40 years, when you ship the demos, they never open the box. You get the box back with the same packing tape that you sent it on, and he buys the unit from IBM that he wanted in the first place. Because guess what? You didn't ask for a mini tour, and you forgot all the faces, right? Because you're forgetting all the basic principles of selling.
Sounds like a lot of what Chet Holmes teaches. Are you a student of Chet Holmes?
No.
Okay. So if you look at his trainings on getting past the gatekeeper, you know, the follow-up, you know, talking to the secretary and, you know, saying, you know, Bill is expecting me. And then, or did you see the email that I sent because he expected me to bring this, and that's what I'm here for. And then you kind of dumbfound the secretary because they didn't see it. So they're not quote unquote doing their job. And so you work past the gatekeeper. So Chet Holmes does a really good job. So you sound just like him, and he's a master of sales. So compliments to you. So you've also co-founded and sold 2 companies. Can you take us back to one of those pivotal, you know, should we sell or should we scale moments, and what guided your decision?
Well, you want to sell at the exact moment that your last 3 years times whatever EBITDA category you're in is your magic number, right? Because so, you know, like they're going to always look at your last 3 years revenue, and they're going to multiply it by a range of EBITDA multipliers, right? So if you're profit, EBITDA profit, whatever, just call it profit for simplicity's sake, right?
Yeah.
Is in the, you know, like $1 to $5 million range or something. They're going to multiply by 4 to 6, right? Something like that, right? If you're $10 million of EBITDA, they're going to be multiplying by a higher number. If you're recurring revenue, like you're selling, like, you know, Spotify or whatever with the subscription models, the multipliers are much higher, and it's different world. I don't come from that world. I can't speak to it, but I come from the world of, you know, small businesses, people grow, you know, the last company I sold, our top line in 2022 was $84 million. And so but they're going to look at your last 3 years performance. They're going to multiply it by the multiplier, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. And you're going to be the sell price. And so you stop scaling and sell when the number's big enough between you and all your partners that you're happy to cash out, right?
I see.
And that's really the magic. And if you have a bad year, sometimes you have to hunker down for another year and work it out of the math, right?
Amazing.
And so did I answer your question correctly?
You did. You did.
Okay.
You describe yourself as blending sharp insight with humor. I'm curious, what's a sales horror story that you can laugh about now, but taught you something priceless?
Well, never cut corners on people that you hire, because I hired this one guy and I was cutting corners because a guy didn't work out. So I kind of went to a plan B and I didn't really scrutinize it.
Yeah.
And he ended up taking over one of our, just because of luck of the territorial draw, he ended up landing one of our bigger clients as just part of the package, right? And very important customer to us, a lifelong customer. And I got a call from them. It was my former customer, my former stomping grounds. And
Yeah.
And the lady at the lobby that knew me very well, because I was always there dropping off literature with something in my hand and something in my mind.
Yeah.
She called me and she said, Glenn, you need to come down and talk to us. And they pulled me into security. And it turned out that this guy, in addition to selling our products, was also a graduate of the, what's his name? The names escape me, but basically the school of how to make love to a woman or something like that, basically. And he said, I literally graduated in a course in how to pleasure a woman. And I just wanted to know if I could take you out. And he was propositioning our customers receptionists.
What?
Yes. Much to the chagrin of
That's
me.
So bizarre.
And yes. And of course I had to fire him. And it wasn't, and of course, when I left the building, I realized, like, was it just here or was it the other people in the area? And I called them and they were, and he had been doing it. And of course, so I had to race back. And so, of course, that's kind of a funny, kind of a horror story more than anything. It's more of a horror than a comedy. But one of the ones that's kind of a cute, funny story is $10 million in diamonds, right? And so I worked in a jewelry store and, doing minor watch and jewelry repair underneath the tutelage of the watchmaker, Romeo, who was a highly affected not former, but a polio guy, a guy who had polio in the 50s, right? And so he was very crunched over and highly affected in the way he had crutches and or a wheelchair, but he was also like a Don Juan, he was always out on dates with women and
really,
yes. And he was just just larger than life. Right. And he ended up quitting and opening his own jewelry store. And 10 years later, I graduated college. I went back to my hometown and I drove by and said, oh my God, there's his jewelry store. I should go and say hi, see if he remembers me.
Yeah.
And I go in, I goes, is Romeo here? And they go, oh yeah, he's in the back. And I'm like, okay. So he come out and he's like, oh, Glenn, so good to see you. He was Italian, right? And I'm like, how's it going? He's going, oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I'm like, so what's business like? He goes, oh my God, this is so busy, Glenn. He says, I could be doing $10 million selling diamonds, but I am so busy in the back fixing watches. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why don't you just hire a watchmaker and come out front and sell the diamonds, right? But he was do you get the story? Like 10 million. Yeah. So this story resonated for years. It's a 40-year-old story, right? And all my staff know it, and they call it $10 million in diamonds, right? Like, don't get lost in the small stuff, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna go work on this PowerPoint. I'm gonna get it all No, get your car, get in a plane, fly to see the guy, do the difficult thing. Let the marketing people do the PowerPoint for you. Right? Because that's not selling. That's not what a salesperson's job is. A salesperson is to be in front of the customer in whatever way, shape, or form they can, whether it's virtual or otherwise, right? Selling to them. Everything else is marketing and is a different department. So
that's a great story. I love that.
Yeah.
The accent was awesome too, Romeo. I just think of a mafia,
Oh yeah, he was just like that. Yeah, it was so funny. And he larger than life,
amazing,
despite his disability.
So you often talk about relational capital, and that's a key to sales. How do you teach salespeople to nurture relationships that last decades, not just deals that last weeks?
So number one rules: don't be a pain in the ass, right? So you need to learn, how to truly build rapport with people, and that's by not being a sleazy kind of salesperson that's just you need a shower when they're done, right? And it's where they're just overly hello Glenn, it's so good. It's like, come on, dude, you just met me. You don't even know me, right? And there's a story in the book, right, where I, made the critical mistake of like faking it with a guy, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I see that you're doing some fishing there. You know, in that photo, you know, maybe we should go fishing sometime. I'm a big fisherman or whatever, something like that, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? And he looks back, he says, holy shit, he says, I forgot that photo was there. He says, you know what? He says, 1, I hate fishing. 2, that's my ex-father-in-law. 3, divorce from hell, right? Grabs photo, toss in the garbage. His whole demeanor changed, blew up the whole meeting. He couldn't get back into form because of this whole, like the horror of, because I'm not even a big fisherman or whatever, right? But don't invite a guy to golfing before you know if he really loves golf or if it's just his father-in-law making him go, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to build true rapport with people. And so that's done through a series, you know, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you do the math, right? You should be listening twice as much as you're talking. And, you know, and the person that's talking the most in the room is usually not the smartest or the most important, right? And so you learn when and how to speak and make sure it's appropriate. And, you know, learn the golden rules of active listening, empathy, sympathy, and compassion, when to apply them, what they mean, and how to apply them in a customer situation. And you will end up over time, they will create a genuine rapport with you. Even your competitors will like you because you're a pleasure to do business with, even when you lose, because you lose quickly and you get out of the way, right? You're not sitting there fighting and, you know, getting in a fist fight in the parking lot because you're going to lose a deal that you shouldn't have been competing on.
Right. So well said.
So,
let's talk about building and selling companies. So you've led 2 successful exits. What do most founders get wrong when they're trying to build a company that's sellable and not just scalable?
So, yeah. So one thing when you're, you know, and I'm not the M&A expert, right? I have sold a business and I've learned the school of hard knocks kind of thing. But, you know, is that I saw like our latest company, my partner and I, our latest company get sold, and we had spent a significant amount of time putting polish on everything, like improving all the systems, right? We had put in the EOS operating system in the business. It was running perfectly. We had all the right people in all the right seats, right? We had, you know, structure first, people second. You know, we'd gone in, we'd replaced all of our systems. We'd upgraded all of our IT. We'd upgraded all of our customer management systems. Our ERP was state of the art with 1,000, you know, upgrades to it, you know.
Wow.
And so they bought something that was running like a Swiss watch, right? And they ended up buying a competitor of ours.
Yeah.
A few months later.
Yeah.
For more money.
Oh, wow.
And my partner and I were heartbroken, and we never got over it. And it was like, and I'm like, why did they get more?
Yeah.
And it's because there were levers that they were able to pull in terms of the valuations, where they were able to say, well, if we go in and we take your Swiss watch and install it in their company, the value goes up.
Oh, wow.
You need to leave things for the new owner to do to get quick wins, right? And your broker, always hire a broker, never sell without a broker, right? We'll train you on the things to do and the things not to do, right? It's like when you sell your house, right? It's like you think you got the greatest house in the world, and they're like, that entire stuff on your kitchen, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Nothing on the counter. And they're like, oh, those are my great, you know, my wife's china. No, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. But the realtor knows, right?
Yes,
the staging lady knows how to stage your house for sale. So does the broker, right? And so you want to be doing those things to give them a quick win, and where they could make this tweak and the EBITDA would go up a certain amount. They get a multiplier. Maybe they go from a 3 to 5 range of multiplier to a 6 to 8 range because they click over a bracket, right? And they end up paying more in some cases for these businesses because of the ability to get quick wins, because they're in private equity, right? And they get paid for lifting the value of these businesses. And and so that's something I think I can't remember your question, to be honest, but
no, it was you know, the 2 successful exits, and what do most founders get wrong when they're trying to build a company that's sellable, not just scalable? So you talked about the systems and how your competitor.
Well, one thing I always like to share with people is that everyone calls it 2 successful exits, and they were successful, but they weren't completely successful, right? And so the first one is a story of you know, from the battlefield of life that is hard to imagine.
Yeah.
So started this company. I was 29 and a half. I had been married 6 days. I quit my job and started this business.
6 days.
15. Yeah, forgot to tell my wife I was quitting too, by the way.
Wow.
And went home, said I quit my job. Don't worry, everything will be fine. 15 years later, sold the business to a public company. It was a household name in Canada.
Wow.
And I'm going to make a long story short. I became a multi-millionaire on paper. I was the insider because I had so many shares in the public company. I couldn't sell the shares for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
I was locked in. And in the time, and they what ended up taking over our company because we were throwing off so much cash.
Yeah.
They threw as many shares at us. We were blinded. And in 18 months, they bankrupted our company and themselves.
What?
And because I didn't do the proper due diligence on them. And this public company went out of business and the shares went to zero and I hadn't sold a single share. And so I gave away my business. And had to start over. That's why I have 2 companies, because the first one didn't let me retire because it became worthless. My shares became worthless. So I became multi-millionaire to pauper in one step.
Oh my, that's so painful.
Yeah. And so people are like, oh my God, like, how'd you get over it? And I'm like, well, I had to start a new company because I didn't know how to get a job. And so it was easier for me to start a new business. And when I sold the second company, I sold it for cash, of course, right? No shares, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Right?
From riches to rag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know, there were other people involved in the business that you know really struggled with that upset of the.
Oh, I bet.
I wasn't the only partner, and but it was sheer will of might of fear of poverty that pushed me forward to say, like, well, there's no time to cry about it, like. You need to get a job. And my job was to start a new entity, which became Gap Wireless, which ended up growing to $80 million when we sold it.
Wow. That's a nice cash out.
We didn't sell it for $80 million. We were doing $80 million in sales.
Oh, in sales. Okay.
Yeah. You got to take the profits, multiply by the EBITDA, divide by the partners, you know. Right?
Amazing.
And then you're going to ask me, why am I doing it a third time? The answer is very simple. It's because my first company, I had 3 partners. Second company, I had 2 partners. And in this company, I wanted to see if I could do it by myself. And I wanted to have my swan song to be buy a small business, learn everything I learned from the last 2 businesses, see where I could take it in a reasonable number of years in my 60s, because I'm 63, you know, and then hopefully sell it in a few years and pass it on. But knowing that I had the strength of might to do it by myself, because the other ones, it's very great having partners because it really helps you to manage your fear. Right. But I really wanted to do it by myself this time. And so I bought a business on my own this time with no partners.
Wow. And how long have you been doing that for?
So I bought it the last year of my like earnout with the private equity. So I bought it in 24. I started there full time in January of 2025. And I don't want to say I've doubled the sales, but it's 60 or 80% more sales than when I took it over this year.
Wow.
So,
that's incredible.
Yeah. And I'm just doing all the standard stuff that I did in the old businesses. I'm just applying all the same logic, right? Processes before people, structure first, people second, right person, right seat, right? Doing all the standard things to build a proper business. And getting everything tuned up. We have new logos. We got new websites. We got new ERP system. Everything's brand new. Everything's state of the art. Everything sings and dances together with the latest and greatest tools that are available, for businesses to run.
Amazing. I can't even understand how you have the bandwidth and energy to do all these things, because even one of these can bankrupt a person's soul in some ways.
Yeah.
So hats off to you. So let's talk AI innovation and future of sales. You're now running an AI venture, helping companies embed AI in under 5 weeks, which that's really fast. So I'd like to understand how you help people do that, because that seems like unbelievable in some ways.
So we're focusing on really on the a couple of areas. And the area where I'm mainly focusing on my time is on the business development side of getting more out of large contracts and tenders and opportunities. So first thing we do is we go in and we do an assessment which gauges each person in the business and where they stand in the world of AI. Like, 0 to 10 kind of, we kind of rank them in 3 categories of, like doesn't have any skill at all, medium, and then smart, right? In terms of AI. And then we put in places, and we have systems and pretty much like courses and things like that get people from level 1 to level 2, 2 to 3, and 3+, etc. Right now to scale up, because a lot of people roll out things like Copilot and stuff like that, but nobody's using it. They're just wasting $500 a person for nothing, right? And so, but really, how we get the most out of it is we go in and we look at their companies, large companies with 150 to 2,000 people, where they're not big enough where they're doing it all on their own, but they're big enough to spend some money on developing agentic models to improve the processing, right? Like a small business won't maybe spend the money, and a big company's doing it on their own. They got a whole team working on it, right?
Right.
So we target the medium-sized companies, and then we go in, and what we do is things like where we automate the like companies that do a lot of RFPs, right? When they request for proposal. So they go out to all the government tender sites and they're looking for all these things. And there's one of the models will go in, it'll take everything you've ever done. It looks at your server in a secure manner. All the information is guarded. It's not ChatGPT. It's not public. It's private.
Yeah.
But it looks at everything you've ever done is loaded into the model, and it looks at all your skills. And then it goes out to all the RFP sites and it looks for RFPs you never even wouldn't have think of bidding on before. So you're getting more RFPs now, right? And then it's like, well, we don't have time to respond to these. There's too many of them. Well, now what we do is we take all the 70 to 85% or sometimes 90% of the RFPs are all repetitive, but in a way that has to be crafted answers, and we help to automate the response to the RFPs. And again, it's pulling from all of your work in the past. And then one of the other ones is analyzes all the drawings, all the electrical drawings, all the construction drawings and things like that. It shows you like, well, if you needed to build, walls from here to here, or a bridge across this, this roadway, how much would it cost, right? And so we're using agentic models to help develop these pricing and bill of materials and costing analyses that used to take 7 people weeks on end to come up with how much rebar they need and how much concrete and it's all automated, and in order so you can get in front of more deals and respond to more deals, and respond in a consistent and repeatable manner, and it learns from itself too, right? So the more you get, it gets better at itself, and it learns from the ones that it's done, and then so you can respond quicker and quicker, right? And that's what we're doing.
That's incredible. So what took 7 people in weeks to price and share resource needs, the agentic model can learn and get better and do it in how long?
Well, in the part it does in a few hours or a day kind of thing. Then it needs to be reviewed and sort of, quality checked and what have you. But then the last 10% is usually the pricing and the customization, where you're putting in your profit margins and things like that. And it can even help you with parts of that, but that's where you finish off the bid. But you reduce the time to respond from days and days and multiple people to 1 or 2 days and a couple people kind of thing.
So you're saying that at an enterprise level, where most people would have to do it back in the old day manually, which would take them hours, if not days, if not weeks, and people with their schedules and their vacations, they could literally miss, multi-million-dollar deals. Whereas your agentic AI can use your skill sets, your past experience, past projects, take all that and apply in a customized way to, a lot more RFPs to win these tenders or bids.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I can't even think of how many RFPs at my old business that we just didn't fill out because it was too much work.
It is too much work.
Because they want us to go back and give them 3 examples of where we've done this to that and that to this and whatever. It's like, oh my God, who's going to do it? I'm too busy. And oh my God, we missed the deadline. There's no extension. Oh, we lost it.
That's incredible. And this is the business that you purchased and that you're building by yourself.
No, this is a business. I partnered with a company, a Canadian firm that has the engineers that write the model,
Oh, I see.
and I'm doing their business development in the U.S. And
I
so,
see.
yeah, it's a secondary venture.
Oh.
The business I bought an existing company that's 20 years old
Oh, wow.
that I'm polishing up, right? Where I said, go in and put in all your systems where you get the immediate lift, right? So I have two companies in the U.S., the AI company, and then this other business, a distributor business, which is my core 40 years of legacy of what I've always done.
I am impressed of your bandwidth and your energy, and like the amount of processing power to be able to run these, businesses at the level that you're operating is pretty impressive. How do you manage, or like whether it's time, energy, bandwidth with all the things that you're doing?
So the biggest thing is you have to, and I've said it a few times, so I feel like I'm being repetitive, but I mean, you have to get the right people into the right seats, right? Like for instance, the business the distributor business that I was running, the owner ran the finances for 20 years and he did a great job and he made lots of money. So far for me to say anything.
Yeah.
But the point is like finance, like highly discerned, strict finance things is not my forte.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the first thing I did was bring in like a bookkeeper and a fractional CFO, because it's not big enough for a full-time one, to come in and bring in all the systems that I had in my big business to make sure I'm doing it all correctly, and all the cash flow models are done correctly, and all the security and all the access controls are done properly, and that who's creating the wires, who's approving the wires, who's doing, and putting all these things in place. And, and so much of it, we've reduced our days DSO, days sale outstanding, significantly because of the way when we send an invoice, the next day we call and find, did you get the invoice? Okay. Did you put it in? When is it due for payment? Okay. A week before, we call them a day. Don't forget, a week from now, you got to pay us. And, and so I'm not doing all those things. I'm hiring people. And now today, the beauty of it is you can hire fractional people, right? They don't have to all be full-time resources like they did in the old days. You can hire a fractional marketing expert. You can hire a fractional CFO. You can hire a fractional sales CRO to bring in the best sales practices. You can hire guys like you to, train the team. You don't have, and and then you put in metrics and things like that to make sure that people are hitting their numbers, the forward-looking indicators, the backward-looking indicators on a weekly basis, and you hold them accountable. And that's how I do it. And so I focus on working with the team and putting the best team I can in place as my ability to afford it presents itself, right? I didn't just hire everybody on the first day. I mean, I had to figure out what could it afford. I had to cycle through some of the salespeople, replace some older, people that were not performing, do some of the tough decisions that need to get made sometimes. And then that's kind of how I did it, and how I'm doing it, but I do thrive on the chaos and I love it. And, and most people ask me like, why do you do it? Right. And I'm like, well, I'm just scared of being poor. And like, you sell your company and lose everything. It'll give you something to think about, right? And it's like, well, when's enough? It's like, I don't know, when is enough? I'm only 60. Like, I mean, I'm not like 80.
Yeah, I'll tell you when I get there.
Yeah, and I have 5 kids, and
oh wow,
so if I live another 30 years, I got to make sure enough is enough.
Yeah,
right? So my dad lived to like 94, and
oh wow,
and so I'm thinking like, do I have enough to get from 63 to 94 and all kids and my grandkids and maybe I need another company, right?
Yes.
So and that honestly, that's the truth of it. So
I love it. I love the way you're thinking. I love the way you think in process. I need to invite you to another repeat podcast interview, because there's just so many more questions I didn't get through. If you're open to that. So would love to do a lightning round, because I wanted to make sure that we finish on time. So this is just a 60-minute, last, quick, witty, real questions that I want you to respond and react to. So in the lightning round, to know Glenn Poulos, is coffee or tea?
So neither. I only drink water.
Okay.
And I quit coffee and I never really drank tea. But
Okay.
I used to be an avid coffee drinker, but I gave it up one day and I never drank it ever again.
Gotcha.
So water. Yeah.
Favorite closing line or phrase you've ever used, if at all?
You only get forever to make another impression.
You only get forever to make another impression?
Yeah, meaning you have to treat every impression you make in your career as a first impression that's going to govern whether you get, keep, or expand in your job. And that's how you go from being the guy driving the tow motor in the warehouse to the CEO of Amazon, because it happens all the time. You know, I don't know. I can't speak to the specific companies, but there's 50 Fortune 500 companies out there where the guy who's the CEO or the gal started in the warehouse. How? Because he made every impression like a first one. So always treat every impression like the first impression.
Good. I love that. Worst piece of sales advice you've ever heard?
Worst piece of sales advice. Oh my God, I'm drawing such a blank.
That's okay.
Well, the one I'm always fighting with is this thing about like always be 100% remote. You can be 100% remote, but whatever you're doing, it'll be bigger if you do it face to face.
Okay.
So if you're making $1 million, it'll be 5 million if you do it face to face. So
I love that.
Question. Yeah.
I love that. Early morning hustle or late night grind?
I get up early and I do not work late. So
okay.
When I'm done, and I just horse around, do whatever. And not late. I'm not late. No.
And last question is, what does success mean to you now?
Success to me, it means like looking back and always knowing that, you know, even though when you were in a shitty mood or, you know, depressed or whatever, you're always trying to make the next right move in a genuine, ethical, you know, fashion. And then so you can look back and see that, wow, I can't believe how far I've come, even on those days where I didn't even want to go to work. Just go to work and just do the smallest amount you can or the most you can. And you realize, wow, I can't believe how much I've moved the needle. Because so many people let the day get away and, oh, I'm tired, so I'm going to take the day off or whatever. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And I'm just not put together that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying if you're sick, don't go stay in bed. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying always try to make an incremental improvement every day, you know, in your business. And you'll be amazed at how far it'll come in a very short period of time.
Amazing. There you guys have it. Glenn is a master of sales. He is a LinkedIn top voice and sought after speaker known for sharp insights and humor. He has proven over 4 decades of sales leadership and entrepreneurship. And he has a lot of experience from various places and bring every stage and boardroom conversation with lots of energy. Feel free to connect with Glenn on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you want to learn more about him, you can go to glennpoulos.com. And he has a free gift that he'd like to give you guys, which is Elevate Your Sales Game with Glenn Poulos' Never Sit in the Lobby. Thank you so much for that. Grab your copy now at glennpoulos.com/book. There you have it. We have to do a second podcast interview because there's questions I did not get to ask because we ran out of time. It was an amazing time, Glenn. I learned so much. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Great being here.
Take care, everyone.